Now, in a perpetual licensing model, there are basically 8 elements of costing involved. Okay, I'm going to go over it one by one, and I'll give you explanation for each and every element one by one. So the first element that we are going to talk about is the licenses. Okay, so the software or ERP software developer might have different type of licenses. I'm going to call all of those as one element. So there'll be a cost for license, and the cost for license, perpetual license that we're talking about, is one time and is upfront. So in most of the cases, the software developing company or the ERP software company would try to collect this money upfront from you, and then they are fair in what they are doing. So it will be a one-time cost which will be paid to you upfront. That's the licensing cost. The second costing element involved is basically the database license cost. Now, when I said license in my previous element, I was talking about the front-end license. So you basically see something on your screen where you key in your data and stuff like this. That's your front-end license. So you will have to pay a license cost for that. Now, the data that you key in over here basically goes back and gets stored at a back end and then gets retrieved when you call it back. So that's called as a database. So for every software, you basically need to have a database. So this database also has a licensing cost, and this is also one-time licensing cost, and this is also collected from you upfront. The third element that we're going to talk about is the add-ons and third-party applications. What do I mean by add-on and third-party applications? So the basic ERP application might not be able to provide you all the features and functionalities that your business requires, in which case you will have to depend upon some add-on applications which will have to work with your ERP application, or some third-party applications that you will have to buy which will have to work with your ERP application. In those cases, these are called as third-party applications, and the third-party application will also be an one-time payment, an upfront payment which will be collected from you. The fourth element that we're going to talk about is the AMC cost. AMC would stand for annual maintenance contract. All the 3 elements that we spoke until now, the ERP license, the database licenses, and any third-party add-on or licenses, all of these are basically software products and will require a continuous upgrade over a period of time. So you will have to pay an AMC for it, annual maintenance contract for it, which is something that every software developer requires. Keep upgrading the software. So there is something called as an annual maintenance cost or AMC cost involved, and this is the first recurring cost that you will have. The benchmark percentage for AMC is anywhere between 17% of the license cost to 22% of the license cost. It differs from product to product, but if the AMC percentage is anywhere between 17 to 22 is indicatively right. The fifth element that we're going to talk about is the consulting. Now, an ERP implementation basically has a lot of stages. It starts all the way from face-to-face interactions, conducting workshops, and then configuring your requirements, business blueprinting, training your employees, and then once the training is done, validating whether the employees can do it by themselves, validating whether all the functionalities are properly working, up to the point where they take your data, migrate it into the system, and then finally run it and show it to you, train your people, and go live. All this falls into what is called as ERP consulting part. Now, this is also a one-time payment, and it is collected in a phased manner. Generally, an implementation partner will have it split into 3 or 4 or 5 phases depending upon the number of phases that he has got. So the way the phased collection works is probably he will say the first phase might be a business blueprinting phase where he comes and sits with you, gets to know your requirement, has it configured into ERP. So once that is done, he would collect one payment from you, a stage payment from you. And then the second stage probably might be a data migration or a data collection phase where all the data is collected from you and fed into the ERP system. The third phase might be something where he completely shows your data properly run in the ERP. and then the next phase might be training phase, and then the next phase might be a going live phase. So there might be multiple phases across which the payment can be collected. The sixth element that we're going to talk about is a customization element. Okay. Now, when you consider an ERP, not necessary that all ERPs might match 100% of your business requirement, in which case you might want certain aspects of your business to be customized in your ERP software. When that happens, what you will have to pay a customization charge. Now, customization is a one-time charge and once again collected in multiple phases. The phases can be like requirement gathering can be one phase, and then they build or customize it and then give it to you. Basically, it's called as a user acceptance testing, where you look at the customization, you test it and you say it's okay. Then that's the second phase, and then doing a live is the third phase. But this is not a right session to talk about ERP customizations, but a word of hint would be a customization is something that you do when it is a dire requirement in ERP. Otherwise, using an ERP as a standard application or using the standard features and functionalities available in ERP to begin with would be a great advice. But if your business requirements are such that it requires customization, then definitely this element would be there, and this element is a one-time payment. The seventh element that we are going to talk about is integration. Now, not necessary all ERP implementations have integrations. When you want any third-party applications or third-party software or any machine or anything wherein the data has to be integrated to ERP, let's say that your factory basically has a lot of machines and these machines basically work on a various shift basis, and there are certain information from the machine that needs to be fed into ERP. Then we call it as an integration. Or there is a web application that you use, or there's a CRM application that you use, and you want the CRM application to talk to your ERP application. Then this is called integration. So, not necessary that integration is a must requirement in all ERP, but if there are any integration requirements, then it will once again be a one-time cost, and the payment or the collection of the payment will happen in multiple phases. The phases might be like there will be a requirement gathering phase, and then once the integration is successfully done, and user acceptance testing phase would be there, and then a go live phase would be there as a very basic phases that we are talking about. The eighth element that we are going to talk about is the hardware. All along we have been talking about the software and its licenses, the implementation portion of it or the service portion of it. Now comes the hardware. For the licenses to go on sit in a hardware and the implementation to happen properly, you need an hardware in place. Okay, so you will have to budget for the hardware. You will also have to take into account the cost of the hardware. So hardware is a critical cost element in an ERP implementation, and that's the eighth one. As far as hardware goes, there are very remote chances that the company which provides the ERP application will take the ownership of the hardware. Sometimes they do. When they do not do, you will have to take the hardware costing with a hardware reseller or a server reseller. So this is also a cost. This is a significant cost because hardware cost would definitely take up at anywhere between 30 to 40% or anywhere between 10 to 20% of the ERP implementation cost, depending upon the various cases that we have. Thank you, and see you in my next video.